Assalamu alaikum, I am Ramna Saeed and you are watching Reality Check. Today, we are bringing you two stories that ask a very different but equally important questions. First, the FIFA World Cup 2026 has reached its final four. The world's biggest football tournament is now down to just four former champions: France, Spain, England, and Argentina. All are chasing football's greatest prize. But who has what it takes to reach the final? And then from India, a tragedy that has sparked difficult questions about governance and urban planning. 9 workers lost their lives after a massive garbage mountain collapsed onto a waste to energy plant in Pune. Was it simply a natural disaster caused by heavy monsoon rains? Or were years of poor waste management policies and safety failures are also part of the story? From football's biggest battle to a disaster that has reignited debate over accountability. Let's begin. After 1 month, more than 100 matches, countless goals, upsets, heartbreaks, and unforgettable moments, the FIFA World Cup 2026 has finally reached its biggest stage. Only 4 teams remain, and every one of them is a former football world champion. For the first time in World Cup history, the world's most top four ranked teams have all reached the semifinals. Now, football fans around the globe are preparing for two blockbuster clashes: France versus Spain and England versus Argentina. Let's start with the first semifinal. France have looked almost unstoppable throughout the tournament. Unbeaten so far, Captain Kylian is once again leading from the front, scoring goals and chasing yet another World Cup record. Alongside him is Michael Olise, and they have added pace and creativity, while William Saliba and Diot have turned France's defense into one of the toughest break. Standing in their way is Spain, a team that continues to prove why it remains one of the football's most technically gifted nations. Spain has relied on its trademark possession football, quick passing, and tactical discipline. Teenage sensation Lamine Yamal has lit up the tournament with moments of brilliance, while Rodri has once again controlled the midfield like a true conductor. Many experts believe this won't just be a football match, it will be a tactical chess game. France's speed and physical power against Spain's patience, precision, and control. Then comes the second blockbuster: England versus Argentina, a rivalry that goes far beyond football. From the famous 1986 World Cup quarterfinal to decades of unforgettable encounters, history always follows these two teams wherever and whenever they meet. England under Thomas has looked more adventurous than ever. Harry Kane continues to score when it matters the most. Jude has dominated the midfield. Bukayo Saka's pace has troubled almost every defense in the tournament. But waiting on the other side are the defending world champions, Argentina. Even at 39 years old, Messi continues to prove why many still consider him the greatest footballer of all the time. Alongside him, Lautaro Martinez and Julian, Argentina has combined experience with energy to once again reach the final four. The defending champions know exactly what it takes to win football's biggest prize. This World Cup has delivered exactly what football fans really hoped for: the biggest stars, the strongest teams, and now the biggest possible semifinals. There are no underdogs left. No surprise packages, only four football giants fighting for one trophy. Whether it's Messi chasing greatness, Yamal announcing a new generation, Harry Kane searching for England's first World Cup since 1966, or Messi trying to end his legendary career with another World Cup. History will be written over the next few days, but the real question is, who will survive the semifinals, and who will lift football's biggest trophy on Sunday. India often speaks about becoming a global economic powerhouse, smart cities, modern infrastructure, and ambitious waste management projects. But this week, another tragedy has exposed a very different reality. One where years of poor planning, weak regulation, and neglected urban infrastructure continue to put ordinary lives at risk. On July 8, a tragedy struck at the Moshi Waste to Energy plant in India near Pune in Maharashtra. The facility, operated by Antony Waste Handling Cell Limited on behalf of the municipal corporation, was inaugurated by Prime Minister Narendra Modi in 2023 and promoted as the part of the India's modern waste management infrastructure. But instead of becoming a symbol of development, it has now become the site of one of India's deadliest industrial accidents this year. After several days of relentless monsoon rains, a massive mountain of legacy waste, garbage that had accumulated over many years at a nearby landfill, became unstable. This enormous waste pile suddenly collapsed like a landslide. Thousands of tons of garbage waste crashed directly onto three-story administrative building where employees were working. Inside the building were 23 workers. Within seconds, the entire structure was buried under mountains of waste. Rescue teams, including India's National Disaster Response Force, NDRF, rushed to the site. But continuous rain, unstable garbage, and fear of further collapse made rescue operations extremely difficult. For more than 72 to 84 hours, emergency workers searched through the mud, twisted concrete, and decomposing waste. And when the operation finally ended, 14 workers had been rescued alive. 9 workers had lost their lives, and the final body was recovered only in early hours of 12 June. Following the disaster, operation at the plant have been suspended while structural and safety investigations are ongoing. The company blamed unprecedented weather conditions and rain, with a senior executive describing the collapse as an act of God. The company has announced 25 lakh Indian rupees compensation for each victim's family and pledged to cover medical expenses for the injured. But critics say calling it an act of God raises an important question. Was this really just nature, or did years of policy failures make the disaster inevitable? Experts have long warned about India's growing legacy waste crisis. Across the major cities, enormous garbage mountains continue to expand because waste processing has failed to keep pace with rapid urbanization. During every monsoon season, these unstable waste piles become increasingly vulnerable to collapse. Critics argue that despite repeated promises of modern waste management, many municipal authorities continue to rely on aging landfills that pose serious safety risks. They also question why an administrative building was allowed to operate immediately next to the massive water mound without stronger protective measures. Was this a comprehensive geotechnical risk assessment carried out? Were emergency evacuation plans in place? Could better monitoring systems have detected movement inside the waste pile before it collapsed? These are the questions investigators are now expected to examine. The tragedy also comes against the backdrop of the broader pattern. Even monsoon season in India brings reports of collapsing buildings, flooded cities, bridge failures, landslides, and infrastructure accidents. Scientists say climate change is making extreme rainfall events more frequent and more intense, while forecasters warn that this year's El Nino could further disrupt weather patterns. Following the incident, shares of Antony Waste Handling Cell also fell as investors assessed the impact of the disaster and possible questions over safety practices. Heavy rain may have triggered the collapse, but critics argue that poor waste management policies, inadequate urban planning, and weak safety oversight created the conditions that allowed a mountain of garbage to become a deadly landslide. When similar tragedies repeat every year, during every monsoon, many believe the problem is no longer just the weather, it is governance. India generates millions of tons of municipal waste every year. Managing that waste safely is no longer just an environmental challenge, it's a public safety challenge. The real question is, if development projects continue to be inaugurated while aging landfills, weak safety systems, and poor urban planning remain unaddressed, can such disasters still be described as unavoidable natural tragedies, or do they reflect deeper failures in governance policy? From football stadiums where history is about to be written to a landfill where tragedy has raised uncomfortable questions about governance, today's story reminds us that success and failure are often decided long before the final moment. In football, decades of planning, teamwork, and preparation determine who lifts the trophy. In governance, policies, infrastructure, and accountability often determine whether disasters can be prevented or become inevitable. One story celebrates excellence under pressure, and the other reminds us of the human cost when systems fail. That's all for today's reality check. I'm Ramna Saeed. Thank you for watching. Allah Hafiz.